Lumpkin says it's genocide, and he describes what it is. Okay, so now we recognize that as far as genocide is concerned, genocide is specifically different from what was articulated in the Rousseau-Portalis doctrine, right? Genocide is an attack on individual human beings and not an attack on state, and we understand the significance of this, this distinction. Okay. Okay. The next thing that we need to address then is a better understanding, a deeper understanding of this distinction, right? Lincoln, gives us historical evidence, if you will, to make sense of, to demonstrate the distinction between genocide and the Rousseau-Portalis doctrine, or between genocide and the concept of denationalization, right? Lincoln, in his account, makes a distinction. He says, and this is not a direct quote, right? The National Socialist Party emphasized the biological superiority of the nation and therefore attacked individual human beings, right? So the National Socialist Party, the Nazi Party, they emphasized biological superiority. Now you have to think about this, right? If we have a state, right? If we have a state, and actually to be technical, a nation. If we have a nation, not a state. If we have a nation that places emphasis on biological racial superiority as the foundation for the nation. The nation is substantiated by sort of racial, biological inherency, if you will. Then you have to recognize that a nation who builds itself, and this is key, right? A nation who builds itself on biological superiority can never engage in conflict with another nation by attacking the state, right? By attacking the nation proper as a sovereign nation, right? If I, as a nation, build myself to a position of power on the basis of biological superiority, and I recognize that biological entities only exist within human beings, obviously biological sort of embodiedness does not exist within this construct of the state, which is basically just ideas, right? The state is nothing more than institutions and ideas that govern those institutions. Then it has to be the case that any state that defines itself in terms of racial or biological superiority can only engage in battle with another state through the act of genocide, right? And that is absolutely critical. That's actually a little bit more than the introductory. I didn't intend on getting a little too deep, but if you understand that, great. If you're not, I apologize, right? Basically, the claim is, if a state defines itself in terms, if a nation defines itself in terms of biological superiority, and that nation engages in battle with another nation, then it makes no sense for a nation who defines itself by biological superiority to attack the institution of the state. Because if superiority is derived from biology, then the only way to win the war is through an act of genocide. And this is Lincoln's key insight, right? This is something, unfortunately, that very few theorists have addressed, right? And it's extremely important. It is at the foundation of understanding what genocide is. One, genocide is an act of war, right? It is an act of warfare, right? It is not this is psychopaths running around killing people, right? It is a systematized, very willful and deliberate, strategically planned act of war. How is that act of war beneficial to the state? That act of war is beneficial to the state if the state assumes racial superiority, because in the destruction of competing racial groups, the state retains its sort of superiority, right? Okay. The perceived benefit of genocide rests in the fact that the nation can be defended, but its people will have the advantage over those targeted for extermination. Now, what exactly does this mean? Lincoln, in a passage in the book, makes a very insightful, I think is an amazing claim, right? And the claim is this: if two nations are competing in sort of the traditional Rousseauian sense, and one nation beats the other nation, well, the victor, to the victor goes the spoils. basically, right? To the victor goes the spoils. One nation beat another nation, okay, we know, we can make sense of that. This is sort of antiquated now, right? Ever since Nazi Germany rose to power and the atrocity of the Holocaust sort of ensued, everything, all bets were off, right? And what Lemkin says, and I think it's right on the money, is that through the act of genocide, and this is true even to this day, right? Through the act of genocide, the willful and deliberate, systematic targeting and destruction of a group, right? And let's say 400,000 people are massacred in a genocide. Even if the nation as an institution that committed these atrocities is defeated, the people within the nation aren't. Now, how do we make sense? Imagine that we have a genocidal nation and we have a target, right? And this nation beats this nation, right? So this nation becomes the victor, this nation becomes the loser, right? So you have a genocidal nation, and there's an act of genocide against these people, right? So that these people are massacred. Let's just say, for example, right? These people are massacred. This group is targeted. Well, what Lemkin is saying, and I wish I would have brought the book, I would have read, and I might have the book. I don't think I brought the book. What Lemkin is saying is that even if this nation becomes the victor, this national institution beats this national institution, these biological people, these biological beings, are going to be in a better condition than these biological beings because so many of these people were exterminated. The old adage is, you won the fight but you lost the war, right? The fight was won, right? You became the victor, but in a sense the war was lost. Why? Because though your nation won, your people lost, right? Your people were still destroyed. There's a huge disadvantage to having, 150,000, 400,000, 1 million, 2 million people of your ethnicity, race, whatever that means, identity destroyed, right? So the claim is, what I wrote down, and this is not exactly, I should have written down exactly what he said. The perceived benefit of genocide rests in the fact that the nation can be defeated, right? The nation can lose, but its people, and the people of the protected population, those who were engaged in committing acts of genocide, will have an advantage over those targeted for extermination, right? So that even one of the benefits, if you will, and this is horrible to say it this way, but it's true, and actually I apologize because this is definitely not introductory. One of the benefits of waging an act of genocide is that even if we lose to another nation, we being perpetrators of genocide, lose to another nation, our people, in a sense, still come out on top because we're still alive and you guys are dead, right? You were attacking our institution and you might have dismantled our institution so our infrastructure can always be built. But we weren't attacking the institution. We weren't attacking your ideology. We were systematically attacking your population. And in a sense, despite the fact that our institution might crumble, our biological superiority, our biological primacy is protected because there's still so much more of us and so few of you. That's about as simple as I can make it.